So we're at the water this afternoon with this Rinker 232 Captiva Cuddy. It's a 2004 boat fitted with a Mercruiser 5.0L MPI 260HP engine. It's matched up to this Alpha 1 Sterndrive leg. We've got a 3-blade 19 pitch propeller on here. Boat's fitted with trim tabs as well. So we're going to put it through its paces in the river now and show you exactly how it performs underway. It really is a very smart looking boat. Okay, so let's get it on the water and show you how. So we're on the water this afternoon in the Rinker 232, and the weather's a bit miserable here, but we'll have to sort of do our best. It's very wet now. The covers are doing a great job of keeping us dry, which is a good thing. But visibility out the front's not great, so but listen, I'll do my best here. The boat's performing really good. I'll walk you through the dash first of all before we get underway. So we've got all our switchgear here. I've got the engine blower motor on. I could probably knock that off now. I just had that running before the engine started, so it's working perfectly. We've got a full range of marine instruments. So we've got our fuel gauge here. It's about a quarter of a tank of fuel. Voltmeter here showing about 13.5 volts, so it's just under 14 volts, so it's charging okay. We got our temperature gauge, which is just up at 160. We literally just put the boat in the water here, so we've got 160 on the temperature gauge. Speedo here, rev counter here. Now this is moving around a wee bit. There's obviously it's come back down now. There's obviously a wee loose connection on the back of that gauge, I would suspect, so we could check that out. But that's reading correct now. But occasionally it is just going a bit doolally. Current hour clock reading is 467.6. We got our oil pressure gauge here, so idle pressure 40 psi. Once the engine heats up, that'll probably drop down to around 20 or so, and it'll vary with engine speed, but that's looking good. And we got the trim gauge that shows you where the drive trim is. That's also working perfectly, so we trim up here. You see that the gauge starting to lift. We'll trim it down for getting on plane. So your power trim gauge is working. We got our digital depth gauge here showing us the depth in feet onto the keel, 22 feet. Now this is pretty accurate, this one, because that's an in-hull transducer. Over on the Garmin we've got another depth sounder, which is the transom mount one. So sometimes whenever the boat's running on the plane, if you get any air pockets or anything, or aerated water running past them, they can lose their sort of, forget where they're at. But at the minute it's marrying up pretty closely, so 23 foot, 25 foot. This is also a wee GPS here. Then we got all our switch gear, which I think we talked about on the showroom video. So we got a fully operational dash here. Everything is working perfectly, as is the wee GPS. So I'm just going to try and get some data up here as well. Let's see if we go charts. Yeah, so we'll keep it on here because we got our depth here and we got our GPS speed up there. So that'll give us GPS speed as well as the boat speedo. Engine starting and running nice. Gear shift is nice and balanced, so forward, neutral, reverse. Steering's nice and light. Power steering in this thing. Tilt adjust on the steering wheel. This little strap is doing a wee bit of rattling. It probably could do with being tightened up, but other than that we're good to go. So let's put the boat on plane now, and I might just sort of poke out through there so you can see better, but we'll put her on the plane now, take her up to cruising speed, and then we'll do a full speed run and show you how she's performing. So knock her into gear. She's fully trimmed down on the gauge, and we'll give her a handful of throttle here now to put her on plane. Us at 3,000 RPM. We're doing 17 knots. knots on the GPS. So that's about 25 miles an hour. So this is going to be your normal sort of cruising speed, about 3,500 RPM, 25 miles an hour. It's going to be a nice economical cruise. It's nice and comfortable, not too noisy. The weather here is atrocious. I'm keeping this open because there's a lot of debris floating around the river, but it also means that the camera's getting a bit wet, so apologies about this, but this is the joys of selling boats in December. But anyway, I'm going to put it on the plane again now, and then we'll do a full speed run and show you how the thing runs flat out. So here we go. See, she does get on the plane real quick, nose drops down very fast. So here we go. Us. Safe to say that AccuWeather badly let us down today with its rain predictions. This is horrible. I'm going to call it a day here. I don't know how good this video is or how well you can tell how the boat's going, but anyway, it's going fine. It gets up on the plane pretty quickly. 19 pitch prop on it, so it is pitched for hole shot. So even if you got a load of people on board, or if you're looking to pull a skier or something, she gets up and away very quick. The nose, you momentarily lose sight of the horizon, and then very quickly she drops down and it just takes off. Flat out, it's revving to about 5,200 RPM on the tacho, so it's getting right up there on the max RPM, and it's topping out at 32, 33 knots. So I reckon if I played around the trim a bit more and the weather's a bit better, I could probably squeeze it out to maybe 35 knots, but it was getting 32, 33 knots, so that's around about 40 miles an hour flat out. If you wanted more top end speed, you could increase the pitch on the propeller size, but you'll lose a wee bit of bottom end acceleration. The acceleration will be a bit slower. So I think the 19 pitch prop's a good compromise. The dash is fully working, bar the speedo. Actually, the boat speedo, this speedo here is not working, but 9 times out of 10, that's just a blocked pitot tube. They just work on pitot pressure, so just a wee pipe. You just put the airline on the pipe and blow it out. So that'll be easy to fix, I'm sure. All the other gauges are working perfectly. Temperatures, pressures all look good. The instruments are working, the GPS is working. Cruising speed is around about 20 knots at 3,500 RPM, so that's going to be economical cruising speed. That's about 25 miles an hour, and flat out's about 40 miles an hour. So the boat's running really nice. It's nice and comfortable on the water, even going over across its wake and stuff. It's solid. That's one of the things I always liked about these Rinkers. A deep V hull, super smooth, even in choppier weather. And yeah, you can't really fault it. I'll show you in the engine bay here. Look how wet this boat is. It's soaking wet. Let me just do this. Everything looks good. So yeah, so listen, that's it. Again, my apologies about the weather, but we really do our best at this time of year, but we're just up against it. It's getting dark. It's just not easy. So anyway, listen, that's the sea trail, the virtual sea trail in the Rinker 232. If you're interested in the boat, let me know. Thanks for watching.